Start of game turn number 2, the Russian player's turn. I just wanted to mention there's a YouTuber that I watch, Fushigi TV, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, and something that she often says is, a phrase that she uses a lot is analysis paralysis, and I think that's kind of what happened to me a bit last night, as far as you just start overthinking every little movement and trying to think ahead a little bit, or maybe for me it's even what I should be doing, you know, like that there's some grand scheme in this game that I have to be going for, that I'm not realizing, and I'm trying to sort it out. Now, if you went kind of historically, if you played these games historically, then yes, for sure. I'm sure if you did your research, you could find the battle and just go moment to moment and kind of relive it. I'm not so much into playing a game that way. I'm more into playing it just myself, you know. So I guess for me, the thing to keep in mind is that at the end of the day, we're going for points. Finland is trying to protect those points. The Finnish units are trying to protect those points or take some away from us by taking over certain cities themselves. So I think at the end of the day, with that in mind, that's the way to approach the strategy, I think. And in this instance, where they're faced with quite a lot of enemy units, I think what they ended up doing was perfectly fine. Surrounding Oulu there, getting ready. I mean, they're minor units for sure, but at least there was a goal. I'm just not sure the strategy on breaking through there, but that's beside the point. So sticking with that, I just kind of moved forward. My thought was to attack a couple of units, hopefully have some positive results on here. For example, there's a 6-to-1 odds there, which is the highest, so that's probably going to have some positive effect. 3-to-1, now I think, no, there's no effect, because he's in a swamp, and he's in a swamp, and according to our terrain, there's no effect on combat when the defender is on a given terrain. There's the Finnish swamp and the USSR swamp right there, no effect. Just in the movement, which I took care of. So that was my thought there. Here was a similar thought. Let's keep pushing if that's the way that we can stop them using that rail line to some degree. Why don't we keep pushing through, keep pushing these forces back, and eventually make it to Oulu? I believe we have enough units to do that. These two being NKVD units, which will stay at the border. This headquarters will leap across with them, same with this headquarters there. So that was the thought there, and again, I just didn't touch these. I'm going to wait for some reinforcements in turn 3 and 4. For the Soviets, I have a chance to add a couple of more 2012 2s. So maybe those have to go down there. They can't come north of that A line, as you remember. So maybe that will help make a push. Maybe I'll push through here first. I'm not quite sure. Probably though, because that's where my other 20s are, down there. Alright, that was it. I just wanted to have a brief word about the infamous analysis paralysis. And hopefully I can push through that and continue on with this game, because I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's a quicker game, but I think by the end of it, I'm gonna be this is gonna be one of the top games for me. I just have a feeling. All right, we'll see you in a minute. No real surprises in that one. 2 units eliminated. One was up here, so I can advance my unit, which I did. I still feel that Petsamo is kind of nicely guarded on the next turn, depending on how he distributes his reinforcements, this one might go right in there to attack. But if there's more units that are coming in, I might just kind of jump in front of Petsamo to give another kind of line of defense to hold that city, and move these kind of forward accordingly. But that turned out pretty well. When I attacked this 113, we had a 2-to-1 odds, was it? Now I'm confused. Yeah, it must have been 2-to-1, and we had a 4. Oh, wait a second. Hold the phone, people. No, that was for that last roll. We must have had a 4, which was a defender retreat. Sorry, I thought I had looked on the wrong. I thought I'd looked on the wrong one. I thought I'd looked on the 1-to-1 combat results line. Anyway, that caused us to retreat 1 hex, so that's what we did. So he's still standing. Over here, we had the other 113 was in this space here. So we went 2, 4, 6. I decided to do that, the 3 of those against the 1 for a guaranteed loss, for the same reason as before. Move 1 in to exert that zone of control for the rail line. Again, that doesn't really matter too much when there's not going to be any units coming in by rail. They're going to be in reinforcements, and they can place anywhere on the map as long as they're in supply. And the rules for in supply for the Finnish are a lot more lenient than they are for the Soviets. So there was our results. We're ready now for the Finnish reinforcement phase. I'll throw those on the board and come back and show you my thoughts on that. All right, welcome to the other side of the table again. So here's what we had. We had a 662, 2 of the 223s, 2 of the 113s, and 5 of those ski units, which are 003s. It felt like a good idea to add a couple more here, the 223 and the 113. The ski unit there, I placed it maybe trying to jump around the back to cut off their line of supply to the city. I don't quite know. Headquarters do not have an attack, they just have a defense. The ski units don't have an attack or a defense, so that might work out to cut off their supply to Murmansk. And then also if I have a unit there, that means that they've lost 20 points. If it's there by the end of the game, obviously. If we're the last ones that have passed through it, I think is what the rule states. And then I put a couple of more ski units here for similar reasons. Maybe try to cut off that line of supply. I don't quite know. I threw a couple more on this side for similar reasons. Added a couple of more units here to beef up that battle there. And then added the 662 right onto Oulu, so in supply because it's right on the city. Although that doesn't matter as much on Finnish. They just have to be able to trace a line back to a city that's uninterrupted, no matter how jagged or all over the place it happens to be. And I did not add anything down here, which I might end up regretting, especially there. Oh, wait a sec, that's 662. That I made a mistake on. The 662 can only live down there, so I'm going to add it over there. So that was my mistake here. Finnish 662 units and Soviet 2012 2 units may never enter any of the hexes north of row A. So that takes care of that. And I'm going to place it right on this hex there to beef up that line. 662, I only had the 1, so there was nothing else to worry about. So either way, I think that does pretty great. I'm fine with that. It's actually not as many units as I thought. It seemed like a lot when it was sitting on the sitting in their little stacks there, but it really doesn't add too much. All right, so we'll do our movement and then we'll see if I can clean some guys up. Not much happened this turn. 2 and a 1 is a 3 against a 4 defense, brings it to a 1 to 2, right? Yes, which all the results there are 2 results of attacker eliminated, 2 results of attacker retreat, and then 2 results of no effect. Not much point. Just kind of builds a bit more of a line for him to fight through one by one. We had a 2-1-2 go down here, and we moved our 2-2-3 up a hex. Again, just kind of adding some more forces for them to combat. We'll see what happens with these pieces next, and as usual, no action down here. With the next turn and some Soviet reinforcements, I might try to break that line. But yeah, just a quick turn that time. So the only thing that happens now is we go like that, and we go like that for turn number 3. All right, let's talk about in supply. I was putting the reinforcements onto the board and double checked a rule. The headquarters, they have to trace a line of supply back to the nearest city. So it doesn't matter that at first this was this particular headquarters city. That doesn't make it its home city. It traces a supply back to the nearest one, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that makes this its nearest city for supply, and that one has a 15, which works for this because we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. No problem. Those are great, even though there's 2 headquarters, so one is sort of wasted, I guess. Although if they do separate, this headquarters can stick with this unit, this headquarters can stick with these guys there. It puts this particular one out of supply though, because that equals 17. This one is always going to be good because it's directly on the city, so it's fine. I'll double check that because I wonder if that adds to the total as well. I don't know if that sits on its own. Anyway, brings up the point of the reinforcements. So I had another headquarters and decided to make it here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, totally fine. These units are now in supply. I can always send them through to try that, or to maybe come around the back here. Not quite sure yet. I really want to make a push on Oulu there. I had a 6-4-2 unit right in there. So I had 6, 12, 14, 16, 18, when it should only be 15. As you can see, right? Oh, you can't see because I'm not pointing the camera at it. 15 right there. So what I did, because that was an issue, I just took out the 6-4-2, threw it down there, and replaced it with the 2-1-2 to make those numbers better. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So now we're in supply there. This one is fine as well because we're sitting on a 50. 6, 12 is 18, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 33, and we're sitting at a 33 total. So we're well within range there, so that's fine. And then these ones are good as well because Leningrad has a, or where is it? Sorry, here. So yeah, 300 there. so that's fine. Yeah, that was it. So threw in a bunch of reinforcements, and it kind of changes our map around a little. We'll see what happens, and like I said, I'll read about that one. I think because it's right on the city, I don't even know. I'm wondering if it's because it's right on the city, it's fine, but there's still that 15 to worry about. I don't know if it goes towards that total or if it's just supplied because it's there on the city. If it isn't, I will get rid of it and move it, which will then leave, what is that, chem free. So yeah, the 212 is out of supply. Anyway, okay, now I'm just talking to myself out loud, as opposed to earlier when I was talking to a camera about the game. The Murmansk defense. 7 units must be within 5 hexes of Murmansk by the end of game turn 3. We're in game turn 3 right now. I realized that was the case, so I redistributed, aka kinda sorta cheated, and took the couple of units from there and put them close there. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. And you can't include the headquarters as one of those units, so I did not. So we have 7 sitting there within 5 hexes of Murmansk. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the furthest right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So we're good. That takes care of that. The idea here is for that 642 to fight this guy and eliminate him, because that's the only option on the die rolls there. So that will eliminate that guy. He's going to stay where he is because he's kind of nice block of a passage there. I guess if they wanted to come through the terrain here, they could, but they're not going to get very far. Or maybe I attack the 6-2, so making it 3-1 odds, which is still 50-50 shot of eliminating. Maybe I'll do that. I'll think about that. This will attack that ski patrol, which is an elimination right away. I don't really know how to utilize those ski patrol units properly. Forward movement here as well to do some surrounding, and we're gonna go for it. So I've really stacked the odds over here as well. Those few units hung back because they didn't offer much. They're going to attack this 662 unit, and it's 20-40, 66 against 12 right there, so that will work for us hopefully. And maybe break through, and if there's any advancements that can happen, one of those units will take its place in future for surrounding that guy, and doing some similar damage, and hopefully we can take that line. We'll see, that fortification. We will see what occurs. You might be looking at that and going, wow, what the heck happened there? Well, let me tell you about it. I'm not very smart. I did not give myself an option, an out, in case it came to an attacker retreat for these particular units here. Even though I was pretty heavily stacked, we came up with a attacker had to retreat. So I was able to move these units back here, which is out of enemy zones of control. These units were back here, which is still a movable hex. These ones, they couldn't move back here because of stacking. They couldn't move here because of zones of control, and they couldn't move there because of zone of control. So when that happens, they're eliminated. So basically, I'm stupid, is what happened there. I just made a silly mistake. It's one of the things I find about playing these solo. I think that I'm sometimes trying to make sure that I'm fair on both sides as far as playing each side to their fullest potential. And I miss some of the smaller details like that, for example. Also just due to my inexperience with these type of games. But hey, that's part of making these videos, showing you strategies and things not to do. We had what we thought was going to happen up there happen. The defender was eliminated, and we advanced one of our 2012 twos ahead into that hex. It'll give us an interesting thing here. On the next turn, I guess I could, yeah, on the next turn, when you start in a enemy zone of control, as say the 642 unit is, I'm just thinking about this, here let me use the pointer side of it, I'm just thinking about this battle here. Both of these guys are in zones of control. For him to break free, he'd have to move out and move into another one to help with this battle. He can't stack there, so that doesn't help. So maybe I do that in reverse. Move out of the zone of control and enter into there with my 2012 2. Yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna have to figure that out, because when a Soviet is in an enemy zone of control, they have to attack, so maybe I'll just have to add one of the 20s to that one and move the 6 back there so he's out of the zone of control of the 662, and they can do another attack on one of those units. At that point, maybe these guys can come in and help as well to boost the odds. But that was a favorable outcome there. Here we had a retreat from, was it this unit here? Yeah, it had to have been, because that's the headquarters. So attacker retreat from there, moved up there. And then these 3 that attacked this 223 had a NE, a no effect. So nothing happens on either side. As it says here, nothing happens, units remain where they are. And of course the ski unit was gone, and of course we had the 113 as well that was gone. And I decided not to advance. I didn't want to leave this path open here, so I just left him where he was. If this guy doesn't move, even if he does move, he'll still be able to be attacked by this young chap right there. Although I suppose, thinking about it now, I could have advanced there and then on my next movement turn moved one of those up. It doesn't matter much. We're still keeping within our 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 ranges of Murmansk, which should be good. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. If he does get double teamed there, so to speak, that might put an end to that. All right, so there we have it. These are our losses for this turn. Now it's the Finnish player's turn, and he has some reinforcements coming to him this turn as well. All right then, reinforcements entered the board. We did our movement, we did our attacks. So there was a 662 unit there. I moved him on top of this other 662 for a couple of reasons. We could be 6, 12, 18 versus 12, which still puts us at a 1-to-1. But we had a favorable result. We had a defender retreats. And as you can see, there was nowhere for the defender to retreat. There was over the stacking limits and in a zone of control. There was fine for stacking, but it was still in the zone of control, and those were the only 2 hexes that he could retreat to. So therefore, that caused him to be eliminated. There's the 2012 2 right there, so that worked out very well for the Finns. Not so well for the Soviets. No combat there. We had a few combats here. These middle 2 units were the result of that. It was an exchange. So the defender was eliminated, and we have to eliminate units up to their defense, which was a 1 attack versus a 1 defense. So that's what happened, and that was at that hex right there, and my other Finn unit was right there. We had an exchange there where nothing happened, and we had a exchange here, these 2-4 against 1, so 4-1, and that was him eliminated. And then we gave this a shot. The outcome, our best outcome with these 2-2-3 units versus the 6-4-2 was that there would be a retreat, which would basically eliminate him because he couldn't retreat into Norway, couldn't retreat onto the other chit behind him because of stacking, and then couldn't retreat onto that other hex due to its impassable terrain. So it was worth a gamble. It didn't pay off because there was a no effect that came up, but definitely worth a shot to break down that Murmansk defense there, because that would have put him 1 unit shy of that and would have to walk in one of these other units. So there you have it. That's the Finnish player's turn. I feel like that went pretty well for them. Now we'll move the game turn, and I don't know, I might do a couple of turns on my own now and come back later on in the game, maybe around game turn 6, when both sides have some reinforcements. Soviets do have some reinforcements coming in this next turn, including another 20-12-2, which will be good for this little battle over here, but we'll see how that plays out. Just entering game turn 5, and I wanted to do a quick update. On the last one, the Finns had 2 units there attacking a unit of the Soviets there. There was an exchange that happened which eliminated all 3 of them, and basically what that did was that put us at only 6 units within a 5 hex radius of Murmansk. Yeah, so that means when we advanced the turn, at the beginning of a Soviet player's turn, if you don't have the 7 units, you lose 10 points for each turn that happens, and that's starting on game turn 4. So starting on game turn 5 is when that happened. So I'm keeping notes over there. There's the 10-point reduction. So that's good to know. I do have a couple of units backed up here on the rail line that can come in to add to those numbers again. So even though the Finns ended up losing a couple of units, I think that was worth it. They at least took a chunk of points out of them, because right now all we have for Petsamo was 30 points, minus the 10 is 20. Basically, it's a Finnish decisive victory so far, and we're halfway through the game. Over here we had a couple of exchanges go on and a couple of retreats. No action yet here. And then a little bit of a standoff, but now I'm going to do some attacking there on turn 5 as well. But that was the main piece that I wanted to fill you in on. I just finished the Finnish game turn 6. 4-4-2 came on board and took out another unit. Advanced to game turn 7. In game turn 6, I also I did not have the 7 units again for the second time in a row, so that was another subtraction of points. This is really getting heated down here. There's still a standoff here. I just can't find a way to attack and make it worth my while, so there's not been any action. No idea how to use these ski troops whatsoever, except keep bringing them in, I guess, to cut off supply. That's the only thing I can do. I guess I should have been doing that each turn. Bring those guys around to cut off the supply line to, what is that, Chem? Is that what it's called there? Anyway, they're putting up the good fight here. No more units down there, so this will stay. There's that ski unit there, which I should probably just get out of there the next turn. So yeah, that's that. Game turn 7 coming up. We're nearing the end of the game, and it's I don't know, we'll see what happens there. If I can break through there, that opens up all these points for me, and that will really accelerate the victory points for the Soviets here. But so far it's not looking good for the Finns on this front, which is another 30 points that would go to the Soviets. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll probably come back near the end. Game turn 9 has quite a lot of reinforcements for the Soviets. Game turn 8 has a few for the Finns. Alright, that's game turn 10. Kind of flew through the last bits. Some of the highlights, 1 hex away from Oulu, so I didn't take it because I didn't actually land on the hex, so I didn't get those 30 points. I did hold this till the very last one. So my Murmansk initiative, or my Murmansk, what do they call it? The Murmansk defense failed. So I lost at the end, basically, I think is what that means. I didn't have 7 units. This last 333 came in and caused my unit that was there to retreat. It had pushed through the other one as well. No place for it to retreat to, so it died. That seems to be a recurring thing, a reoccurring thing for me. I have to keep my eyes open on that. Always have a retreat hex available, maybe, you know. So that's a bit of a bummer. Didn't do that. Didn't make that. The Finns managed to capture Petrozandovisk. Excuse me for butchering that, I apologize. The Soviets did manage to break through the Mannerheim line here and land there on that plus 25 of Vlipuri. So plus 25, plus 30, 55, minus the 10 for here, 45, minus 20 there, 25. So it was a Finnish victory, a Finnish decisive victory. Pretty cool game. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of hiccups for me throughout that one, and like I've said before, that's just my inexperience in wargaming, I think. But I did really like it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and now that I've kind of had the pieces on the board, played the game through once completely, and just kind of experimented with stuff and tried some things that failed, tried some things that worked. I would easily play it again. I might actually keep it set up and play again tonight, one game. Like it. I really liked it. It was pretty fantastic overall. A lot of fun. Room to improve. So close there though. Seriously, pretty great. My auto adjust doesn't seem to be working. Anyway, so close. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Winter War as much as I did, and you know, as always that I say in these videos, if you do see these games, I wouldn't hesitate to pick this one up either. This one is a bit on the pricier side. I was lucky enough to buy it locally, so that saved me a bundle on shipping, because it probably would have cost me another $25 to $30 US just on shipping. So I think $60 Canadian was a pretty good amount of money spent on this sucker. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll talk to you real soon.